What up, world? Welcome back to another edition of Riding with Rush. And today is Solution Sunday. So, what exactly is Solution Sunday? Solution Sunday is where we talk about not just problems that we have going on, whether it be in our life or our community, but we also provide solutions to those problems because that's the focus of everything that I'm doing right now. It's not just to point out everything that's wrong, but to point out how we can fix it, solutions to fix it. So, basically how this come about is I have individuals that come to me and say, basically what I just said, there's this wrong and there's that wrong. And I have a lot of people who do a lot of complaining, but we don't really have a lot of people who are actually going out and taking action and making positive changes in our community and things like that. And that type of stuff needs to change. Like we wonder, we say there's not enough good jobs around here, or we complain because there are other ethnicities that have businesses in our own communities, and then we complain and we say we don't support our own businesses, we don't support our own people. The reality of that is that that's a choice. That is a choice. Like when we do have business owners, we don't support their businesses. We don't go out and buy from them and purchase from them. And I do understand that the struggle is real. If you live paycheck to paycheck and you're trying to shop at your local grocer, or you're trying to support a local business, a lot of times their prices are a lot higher than what you'll see at like a Walmart or a Kmart or whatever these chain stores are and things like that. And what you have to understand is that local businesses, they're not able, because of the support that they have or the funding that they have or the finances that they have, they're not able to get things readily at the same price as when you're buying wholesale like Walmart does. Walmart's buying things by the truckloads, whereas your local store is buying things on a needs basis. So their overhead is a lot more than what a local Walmart would be. Or even when you see Middle Eastern people, they come over here and they get gas stations or whatever, and not trying to sound stereotypical, and just being real. Like they come over here and they get grants to start businesses, especially in certain communities. And so, or liquor stores or things like that. And so again, you see where their overhead is not as much because they were given a grant to start their business. They didn't have to get a loan, or they didn't have to save up to get that. And then they're tax free for 7 years, so they don't have to charge as much off the top. This is why a lot of times you go in there and you buy them knockoff shoes or knockoff purses or whatever you in there getting from the store, clothes, whatever the case may be. You can talk them down on prices. They got the price listed at $70 for a pair of shoes or something. You can talk them down to $45. Well, they're probably getting the shoes for $18 a pair anyway. There's no taxes, there's not as much overhead. They get grants. It's just not as much pressure for them. And then they get grants as well for starting in certain communities, which, you have to think about. I don't want to get all off into that right now, but you just, you have to keep that type of stuff in mind. So the solution to this is, how can we get ahead? Is we have to organize. And what I mean by organizing, this is not something that is going to happen overnight. It's not something that even if we all got together in our communities and did, it wouldn't happen overnight. But again, it comes back to the same thing of services. And if you look at communities like the Black Wall Street, Google it if you're not familiar with it. I don't have time to get all in depth with it, but they had like over 600 businesses, man. They had their own movie theater, they had their own post offices, they had their own schools, they had their own busing service within their communities. Man, and it's real. And like, I'm not gonna get too much off into that, but they had their own self-sustaining community that was shut down rather brutally and rather viciously by the government. So Google Black Wall Street and do a little research on that as well. And so the solution is that we have to support each other's businesses. And we have to not only support business, but we have to start our own businesses. So if there's somebody that cuts grass, and instead of you calling True Green or True Lawn Care Services and all this other stuff, man, call the dude down the street to come cut your grass, man. And because what happens, this concept is called group economics. And what happens is, I'll give you an example. I believe, like, Jewish people, for example, man, they have all these jewelry stores or whatever. That's what they're, known for, jewelry and things like that, in terms of businesses and stuff. But what they do is they start businesses and they support their own businesses. So they may sell to you, but they're not going to buy anything from you. And how this concept of group economics works is basically money comes in from all different kind of ways. But money does never goes out unless it's absolutely necessary. I'll give you an example. I have a friend of mine who's a DJ. He used to DJ all over in this area, and he went to the African community, like the South Bend African community or whatever. And they were like, oh, what's going on, man? It's been a long time. How you been? You still DJing? Da 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 da. So they know what he do, and they're like, oh yeah, you're awesome. We hear you on the radio, yada yada yada, blah blah blah, all this good stuff. And then he was like, oh yeah, and he already knew what the game was. So he was like, oh yeah, so when y'all gonna let me get down? I've been trying to get into some of these African parties and African clubs and stuff like that. And the guy just smiled at him. And basically, he was just saying, nah, we do our own thing. And that's what happens, man. Like, Jewish money bounces like 18 times in the community before it ever leaves. And, Caucasian money, it dang near never leaves. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be able to get a business in certain neighborhoods because they're not going to allow that. But what we allow people to do is set up shop in our neighborhoods, and then we all have jobs because we all have bills, or even if you have government assistance. And what you do is you take the money that comes into the community and you send it right back out. And that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And it's the same concept of what I was talking about on the Sabbath edition on Friday of what tithe is. And basically it's pooling our money together so that when there are those of us who are in need or who are hurting or need financial assistance, we can provide that for those people. And then not only that, if we have our own businesses, we can then educate our children on how to become entrepreneurs and how to continue to grow that income and grow your finances and grow your money. But we can't teach our children what we don't know. So how do you find out? Crack a book, man. Like, this stuff is not rocket science. It's just a matter of what is your focus on. And see, our problem is, and I'm not saying all of us, but a major problem in our community is that we too concerned with turning up. And we too concerned with keeping up with the Joneses. You live in paycheck to paycheck, but you got an $800 iPhone, $600 iPhone, or $600 Galaxy S6. You don't even have a car, but you got red bottom shoes. You just complaining on Facebook that your car broke down, this, that, and the third, but then I see you on Friday night at the club. And to each his own, but the problem when that comes in is then you start complaining that you don't have nothing. You made a choice. You made a conscious choice to do something contradictory to what you said you wanted. So if you spoke it into existence, you said, I want this, and then you went out and did the exact opposite. It makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah, we do this kind of stuff every single day. And then we say, yeah, it ain't no black business owners, or it ain't no, our communities, they don't work together. But what are you doing to support our community? Why are you sitting complaining and tearing our community down, although you may be saying some truth? You're not doing anything to add to that, And so the concept that I'm putting out there today on Solution Sunday is that we begin to provide services, find out what services we are capable of providing and doing. Just for example, man, if you work at a temp agency, shout that out to some of your people and help some of your people get a job rather than saying stuff like, man, such and such is going to get me fired. I can't, I can't put their name down and say that they know me because they not good on the job. Go have a conversation with that individual. Say, hey, man, look, I know you really need a job, and I can hook you up with that, but you got to do A, B, C, and D, or else I can't continue to do these type of things for you. If they say, okay, and do it, you do your part. You did your part, and you're assisting and you're aiding. So even though you may not be getting paid directly for that service, you're helping out your community. Like for me, example, I'm a personal trainer. So that's one of the services that I provide in my community. So you could support me, I'm not saying like support me, but you could support me as a part of the community by bringing your fitness needs to me, whether it be nutritional. I can set you up with a meal plan, or you want me to set you up with workouts. Remember, you don't have to come work out with me in the gym if you can't afford one-on-one personal training sessions. I do personal training online, so if you're looking to get in shape, man, hit me up. I can do that for you. Again, like I said, if you know somebody that does landscaping, use them. Don't use these, major services. And again, I'm not hating on major services, but I'm saying in a sense of building up your community. You know what I mean? If you know somebody that cuts hair, shout them out, put them out there. If you know somebody that does photography, and rather than going to some major photography service, man, I know a whole community of photographers, man, that do amazing work. Amazing work. Some of the best work you've ever seen, man. Shout out Emmanuel, man. Emmanuel St. Cloud, man. If you don't know who he is and you're looking for a certain occasion, hit him up, man. He's awesome. He's also a barber. Not only that, there's a barbershop downtown in Niles, man. I mean, y'all know that. I don't have to, beat a dead horse with that type of stuff. But you need to find out what type of service that you can provide and then begin to cultivate that. Begin to study and find out how you can monetize that. Actively look and search for opportunities that you can go out of your way to support local services and local businesses and things of that nature. Currently what I'm doing right now is I'm putting together a network of local business owners and things like that, small name business owners, and we're going to begin to support our own community, of business owners. So if you have a dream, you have a goal of doing something, whatever your service is, like, I don't care what it is, man, inbox me, man. We're putting together a network currently right now so that we can begin to build up wealth in our own community, because that's how you build up wealth, by supporting each other, because the money never leaves the community. But see, when you go and spend your money outside of the community, it leaves. It's gone. It's not coming back. Like, Walmart's never going to come to me and ask me to provide a personal training service for all the Walmart employees. It's just not going to happen. But individuals in my community will. And that's just one of the services that I provide. Currently, what I'm also working on right now is an online store, something like Amazon or eBay. So if you're an online shopper, hit me up. I'm gonna be, I'm in process of building an online website where you can purchase certain items. And if you don't see what you want to see on that site, like, inbox me. I'll put it on the site. I'll find it. I'll put it on the site. And I can also show you how to set up your own online business pertaining to online settings and things like that. If you're into sales or whatever, I can also show you how to set up sales and things like that, and run your own business from home and things of that nature. So, man, like, there's so many avenues that you can go to provide services for people, man. You just have to look at what your gifts are. And again, like, I don't know how many times I can say this, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but it's the truth, man. You really have to cultivate your gifts, find out what you're good at, find out what you enjoy doing, find out what people need, and how you can provide that need for people. You know what I mean? And it just all relates to asking questions. Find out what people want, man. Find out what they want, find out what they need, and how it pertains to what you're passionate about. Go out and do it. You'll be surprised. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to get rich overnight. You're going to have to do it part-time. But that's another thing. That people think that, to be an entrepreneur, you got to quit your job. You have to quit your job and then start a business being broke. And it discourages people. The reality of it is, man, the majority, and I mean a high majority, like upwards of like 90% of successful entrepreneurs started their business part-time in addition to their 9-to-5 job. And that's what I'm doing right now. That's why you probably looking at me like, why are you giving me success principles? And he working 9-to-5 just like me. Because I've done the research, I've done the homework, I've done the legwork, and I'm working full-time on my job and part-time on my fortune. I'm working full-time on my job and part-time on my fortune. I don't know if y'all caught that. Part-time on my fortune. Not my business, on my fortune. And eventually, that fortune will become so self-sustaining that I can quit my 9 to 5. I can just walk out one day and just be like, hey, this is my last day. Holla at y'all. Peace. And that you have to have that vision. You have to have those goals, and you have to be diligent in what you do. So again, to recap everything, man, find out what you're passionate about. I can't preach this enough to y'all. Find out what you're passionate about. Have a vision over your life. Have a depth of vision. For lack of vision, my people perish, man. That is so real. I can't say it enough. That's like my motto. For lack of vision, my people perish. If you don't know where you're going in life, if you ain't got no direction, then you might as well, you just out here wandering, man. You can set a boat out to sail, but if it ain't got no captain and crew, it's going to crash 10 times out of 10, and then we wonder why our life is not successful. So have a vision, have a purpose, find out what your gifts are, cultivate those gifts, study and figure out how you can monetize those gifts. Go out and put it out. Let everybody in the world know, everybody that you know exactly what you provide. And just keep putting it out there. People will come, man. If you build it, they'll come, you know. And then support. When you find out that local people in your area are doing, you know, things of that nature, like, they'll never be successful, and they won't be able to improve the services that they provide if nobody ever supports them. So if they have a good idea, and if they're trying to go out and put it out there, and you have a need for it, go support it, even if it's going to cost you $5 more than it would have cost you to go through True Green Services to get your grass cut. So what? You'll be building something that in the long term is going to benefit everybody, including yourself. Because if they have a network of individuals and then you support them, what they'll do is when somebody that they know needs your service, they will then direct them to you because you supported them. That's how it works. That's how group economics works. The money comes in from all different avenues, but it never leaves. So you may be spending money on somebody else in your community, but you're going to spend that money anyway. It doesn't really matter. You're going to spend that money anyway. You're just changing where you place that money at, man. And then it stays in the community. Then they have more money so that when they need your need or what they need your service, then they can provide for your service. So the concept today is group economics, solutions to a lot of problems. Why we don't have rec centers in our communities, or why they're run down, or why a lot of people in our community don't have jobs. You can then provide, if you support other people and people support you in your community, you can then provide jobs for other people that need jobs in your community. Like, again, it's not an overnight thing. That doesn't take place overnight. It happens over time. But that's the solution. Group economics. You practice group economics, man, and everybody benefits. Solution Sundays, riding with Rush, that's the thing. Group economics. Find out what your service is. Find out what your gift is. Put it out there. If you got anything, if you learned anything from this video, man, go to my YouTube page, hit like, subscribe to the page, man, and hit me up with any comments, questions, or concerns that you may have about what we talked about today, man. Group economics. Network with the people in your community, man. Find out what you can do to help. Find out what you can do to provide service. And be a blessing to other people, man. Be a blessing to other people, and it comes back to you, man. Y'all be easy. Riding with Rush.